Hey guys, welcome to another Captain Tsubasa 2 World Fighters video. There's a lot of excitement right now going on with this game. A lot of good things got announced today, got shown. A lot of people got to play the game, got to see the game, got to experience the game. And there's still more news coming. Hopefully we still get the team trailers. So if that's the case, it's happening this Friday. I'm expecting still France to be the team. And then we have the Japan demo. So we're going to get more information from then. And also, just want to talk to you guys about 5 questions that I came up randomly that are still unanswered, and I wanted to try to answer them today and try to discuss them. The first one being, are we able to switch positions or no? Let's dive right into it. So in the game, it was confirmed that the new hero or new star, whatever you want to call him, can easily switch out his the skill, the main skill. So he can go from, let's say, pass to the glove, which is the keeper. Probably the keeper also can do pass and stuff like that. And he can become a goalkeeper, or he can become a field player if he switches back to like another move. Assuming it has to be a specific move or something like that. I'm not sure how the mechanisms work because some keepers can do passes, so I'm not too sure how that goes. But if you look at the little icon here, you see that's Kizingo, or however you pronounce his name. I keep butchering every time. And you can see that he's wearing a goalkeeper outfit, which confirms that he can also be switched out. They wouldn't just do that for no reason. Although it's stated for new hero, new star, it's still plausible that people such as Ricardo can become a forward. Hopefully. People like Kazingo can become a defender, can go back to goalkeeper. New hero can do it, new star. So hopefully other players can do it. Maybe Misugi, for example, can go from defense to midfielder. That'll be great. That'll be good to see. Maybe Diaz can go from midfielder to forward if you want to press the attack. Maybe Pascal can go from defensive midfielder to forward again. So there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of questions. I'm gonna go with the yes. I feel like it's gonna be very open, very dynamic. So I'm gonna say yes. I think that's gonna be a possibility. And the next question I have. So the next question for me, guys, that I have is: will this game have, just like in Rising New Champions, where we got to pick from 3 different schools? This initially it only had 3 options, so we could only choose 3 schools. Now we have 5 clubs. This is going to be the same as Rising New Champions. You can choose different path of which club you want to play for, or we strictly just stuck with Tsubasa at Sao Paulo. If that's the case, then can we maybe change the story, or are we just stuck with Tsubasa? So over here we can see the new hero is given options. He is talking in the mode. Over here is called episode challenges. So we don't fully know if you can choose to go in a different route. Oh, so yeah, so that's the question, guys. For me, I would say, I'm gonna say probably no. I think we're stuck with Tsubasa and Sao Paulo. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think as of right now, I think we're just helping Tsubasa with his journey to win the Brazilian Cup. The website has been updated. If you guys want to check out the website, they did purposely leave out some information like Luciano, the OG character Felix from France, the OG character for the forward. What was his name again? Freddy, the forward for Indonesia. They left some other people out. They left some information out. My next question is does this game offer crossplay? That's one of the big questions in the room that people want to know. And fortunately, I haven't seen anything that indicates that. I checked everywhere, and I don't see it. I don't see anything. I checked the official website. I looked at the trailer, and I just don't see anything that says, yes, we can play crossplay. I'm looking for like any symbol that shows like the PlayStation sign Just anything that can tell me this crossplay. And I don't see no symbol, no nothing. I've tried translating this part, doesn't show. So I hate to say it, guys. I don't think there's crossplay. I don't think there's crossplay, and that's gonna be a big blow, a big miss for this game. I think it's gonna hurt this game. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope there is crossplay. Hopefully that if there isn't crossplay, hopefully that's a feature they are looking to introduce. I believe that was Inazuma 11. I don't think it was crossplay initially. I think they added the crossplay later on. My fourth question is Real Japan 7 in the game? That is a question that is a little tricky to answer. A lot of people are saying no, they're not in the game. Minato Gamo is not in the game, and here he is. He's in the game now, right? Now they're saying, yeah, but they're not. That doesn't mean he's gonna be in the game because it's not. It doesn't have the other RJ7 members. That's true. That's true. But what I would say to people that say that is, why is there 32 players in Japan? 32 players, and some of them, I hate to say, they're pathetically useless. Obviously, I love all players, but to have the other ones, like, what's that guy's name? Machida. To have him, for example, there's no reason. Unless there is the high school route, right? Because initially, Tsubasa and New Hero would go to Brazil. Maybe New Hero comes back, New Star, whoever you want to call him, and maybe he plays in high school. Maybe there's another route where you can choose to go to Brazil or you can choose to go to high school. I don't know. It could be any of those things. I personally think that RJ7 will be in the game because I just feel like that's an important part of the story. I know I was just talking about high school. That's my next question. Kind of sidetracked. But I do feel like RJ7 is in the game because of the amount of Japanese players they added. And I feel like if they wanted to, they can add the other members of Real Japan as kind of like how they did with Casagrande. They just added him. He doesn't have to be a star player. He can just be a character. He can just, it can be there. And if they choose not to do that, that's fine. Then, they don't have to make RJ7 exactly like the manga. They can skip those guys and they can just make them the rival team and that Japan has to face. I feel like Hyuga and the others failing really pushed them and built the arc of that story. And as for the club, guys, I just wanted to add that if they did go with the club routes, before I go to the next question, which is my last one, if they did go to the club routes, for example, right, we're going to have Sao Paulo, Porto Alegre, La Boca, Flamengo, and River Plate. I think I butchered some of those names, so I apologize in advance. But what I'm trying to say is, if we do get to choose routes in different, there might be more clubs in the game. But for the ones we have here, because people are saying there's two Argentinian clubs, and that's La Boca and that's River Plate. I know River Plate appears in, I believe, Golden 23, and it's mentioned in 2002. So it's not even supposed to appear now, which is very strange. And then La Boca, let's look that one up a little bit because I don't know too much about that one. So I'm assuming it's the one that comes up, Boca Juniors. And, Juan Diaz is the captain. It's an Argentinian, okay. So it is, okay, so Pascal and Juan Diaz are both in that club. And they've won national championships. Prior to the Rising Sun, Diaz won. Okay. So there's a good chance that this club will appear. Let's say they do go with the route option, Maybe your choices will be Flamingo with Carlos, La Boca um, with Diaz and Pascal, with Pepe and Tsubasa Sao Paulo, with what's the other team? River Plate. That would be with Ryoma Hino. He's the one that plays there. And let's check out the last one. So actually, the other club I believe is Regimo FBPA, which is based off on Porto. And let's read about this one. Get this ad out of my face. And this is the club. So it says, prior to the Battle of the World Youth, the U9 squad of this team had a friendly match against U9 Barra FC. They had a friendly match with J-Boys. It's a little young. And then there's like... That's very strange. Let's keep going down because we need to see. Yeah, there's not much information about this one. So if anybody... In Season 2 of the 2018 anime, this team is replaced by Paraguay national football team as the team facing Japan in the friendlies. So there's not much information about this one. Anything can go for this one. But there are 2 Argentina clubs. There are 3 Brazilian clubs. I know I'm getting way off topic. So with all this, there's definitely hope for more clubs, like the Italian clubs, if they're not in the game. You know, seeing that there are side story in this game, I feel like the DLCs can be much richer now in terms of like what can be added. So they could add DLCs that will give us more stories, like they did for Rising New Champions. They give us all those high schools, excuse me. They give us all those middle schools. And yeah, I do see other clubs being in this game. And if they do add other clubs, then they can add other characters like Ravel. I feel like Redonga is going to be in this game as a DLC or something. They can add Bobang in his club. They can do a lot of stuff. So even if they wanted to just like soft introduce 2002, and then they can give us a major DLC. And if they don't go that route, then obviously they would have to give us the next game in that like club base, so it would be a different game, unless they go kind of like original and they add their own tournament. But that's enough about clubs. But I do feel like last thing about the clubs is that adding these clubs will give us opportunities, and this actually really opens the door for the next arc, which is 2002, which is mostly about clubs. So this really opens the door for that. So the last question is, will high school be in the game? So far we know that if you do have the save data, you can get the middle school uniforms of both Toho Academy and Nakatsu. And here is a picture of Ken wearing his middle school kit, which is remarkably similar to his high school kit, which can be a little deceiving. However, if you look closely, for those that are not familiar, if you look at Ken's chest on the left hand side, where his fist is his arm is kind of like bent like an L, excuse me, you can see that his lettering is black. Now, there was something that was shown and I spoke about it in my one of my other videos. There was something that was shown that it actually shows Ken with a high school kit, which is very interesting, and somewhat it confirms that high school might be in the game to some extent. It might be a one match thing, or it might be multiple high schools, and we'll find out. And I want to show you guys that image for those of you that haven't seen it yet. Here's the middle school one, and now I'll show you the high school one. Okay, so there's a few key things here. First of all, this is a new star mode, which is already a great indicator that this is indeed high school. But we know that Tsubasa in Brazil is also with new star, new hero. But also we have here, we see Ken, if you look closely, He has red lettering on his left-hand side now. I can't zoom anymore, but if you look, you can see the red lettering. And let's go back to the other one. So there's some key differences here. Again, this is Ken from middle school. This is Ken from high school. And what you can spot is Ken has different socks. If you look at the socks that Ken is wearing in high school, he has those stripes on his sock. You can see the stripes that go around his sock. You can see the red lettering on his chest. And I can't see his neck piece, but I think the color might be slightly different as well. If you look at the shirt here, he has the stripe going upward, up on his shoulder. If you look at the middle school one, he does not have that pattern. He does have it in his pants, though. I can't tell if he has it in these pants. He doesn't have the socks circles that you saw over here. The glove look relatively the same, but I think it may be a little different. The lettering, of course, is showing on the high school one in red, and then middle school is showing in black. I'm trying to see if I can see any other differences from this small image that we have, but I don't really see anything else. His hair looks slightly different, but that might be I'm probably just reaching there, but yeah, I just pointed out like 3-4 differences there that you can clearly see. I don't see any reason why high school at this point wouldn't be in. You have 32 Japanese players, enough to make a school with NPC-like characters who are probably easy to create. So I think high school is in this game, guys. Keep an open mind, because I did show you some evidence here. Just like I did a few months ago, I told you guys that Tsubasa was going to start in Brazil. A lot of you guys doubted me. When I make educated guesses, I'm going off evidence. I love studying images and breaking it down. So there's something here, even if it's like a one-off type of thing, where it's like Nankatsu versus Toho, the third year, whatever, and Misagi is playing against Hyuga. Even if it's that, it's still high school. There's going to be some form of high school in this game. That's all I can tell you. Based off this image, and based off this image, there would be absolutely no reason whatsoever to include Toho and Nakatsu as a save data kit, like a gift for having that. There's no reason to give us that. If we're not going to get high school, why do we care about middle school? Although middle school is better than the high school arc. But I digress. I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't make any sense. But anyways, guys, that was the 5 questions that I had, just random questions that I thought of, and I kind of answered some of them, my own questions, and some of them I'm still asking questions. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Take care.